Hey everybody, it's your old pal Vig the Geek here again, and once again I'm debunking some myths that are put out to you by the mainstream media. I've got an article right here from the Wall Street Journal's Market Watch section. And they've got an article that says, 10 things Apple won't tell you. And the tagline reads, from customer service to app safety and even how its devices affect our relationships, here are 10 things Apple won't likely tell you about its products and its business. Now, I don't agree with most of these. Might be one or parts of others that I'm for, but overall, this is really way off the mark. I'm very surprised. I expect better from the Wall Street Journal. I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can, but again, 10 things that need to be addressed. So, with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, number one says our customers are worn out, and they open with, all that initial excitement over the first iPhone or iPad has quickly given way to what analysts are dubbing upgrade fatigue, with even Apple's most loyal customers upset about the steady stream of newer models. Alright, first things first. Yes, that initial iPhone sold like crazy, but you know what? Each model has sold better and better. Why? Because it's done more. As a matter of fact, everybody complained we went from the 4 to the 4S. We kept the same form factor, the look, the feel, everything about it was the same, except some of the guts were changed. And everybody said, it's not a big enough upgrade, it's not a big enough deal. Why are they doing this? We want cool, 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 and this is not any of that stuff. And everybody was pissed off. But here's what Wall Street Journal is failing to mention. The 4S has been the fastest and best-selling iPhone yet. So the one that failed to meet the analysts' expectations, the same analysts that are claiming that people are worn out, is the phone that is sold faster and in higher volume in shorter periods of time than any model before it. iPhone, iPhone 3G, iPhone 3GS, iPhone 4. None of those match the sales of the iPhone 4S. People don't seem worn out to me. This also goes on to talk about, it doesn't stop with devices. So, software upgrades also gently nudge people to buy new hardware. Last month, Apple launched a new version of its AirPlay software. What AirPlay does is it allows you to take your phone or your iPad, or now your computer, and push it to your Apple TV so that nobody's crowding around a 13-inch MacBook Air so they can watch YouTube videos. Now, you can push it to your 60-inch TV and enjoy it in the living room. In any event, it goes on to say, but the new AirPlay is not compatible with iMacs and MacBook Air computers bought before mid-2011, and some Mac owners expressed their unhappiness online. Okay, this is not Apple releasing certain versions of the software to nudge you into buying new hardware. Okay? What these people don't know, because they're business analysts, see here, it's Market Watch, not Tech Watch. That is technologically not feasible. There's really no way they could have done this. The way the graphic processor units on the older devices worked, the way they used the memory and the processing power that they had, it was physically not capable of performing this function. Now, the latest version of the MacBook Airs and the iMacs that do it, even though they predate this AirPlay update, Apple already knew they were going to do this with AirPlay, so they built the hardware to do it. Okay, it's impossible. The one customer said, I don't care how much you plan for obsolescence, there's no way that new software should not be backward compatible for at least a couple of years. Except if the new feature was not thought of when they built that hardware a couple of years ago. Okay, so let's let them off the hook on this one. Look, I've got 3 Mac machines on here, and only one of them does the AirPlay. I wish they all did, but I get it. I understand that this device that I bought long before Apple considered AirPlay into its mix doesn't do this new feature. It is what it is. Number 2 says be careful of that app. So apparently what happened is some 8-year-old girl in Rockville, Maryland spent $1,400 on Smurfberries in the Smurf Village app. Now I happen to know that app, and it's like Farmville with Smurfs. And you can buy Smurfberries, which allow you to do missions faster and build bigger, better, cooler things, whatever. Point is, she spent $1,400 on an in-app purchase, and her mother's pissed off about this. So what did she do? She complained, and she received a one-time reimbursement, which the Washington Post and now the Wall Street Journal don't think was fair enough. Whoa, this girl spent the $1,400 one time. She was reimbursed one time for that one-time purchase. What did she want to profit on that? Now here's how that's easily avoided. One, you don't put a multi-$100 device in the hands of an 8-year-old unmonitored. 2, you don't allow for in-app purchases. 3, you make a password your child doesn't know. Okay, if you're giving your child unrestricted free reign for something that's tied to your financial account, you're kind of on your own. Here, kid, take a duffel bag full of cash. Can they be responsible with that? Of course not. So she spent the money, they got the money back. Big deal. Would you put the iTunes portion of it unlocked where they can buy all the songs they want? No. This is not a problem with Apple, this is a problem with parenting. Number 3 is we're getting in the way, and apparently people can't put their damn phones down or they can't resist picking them up. At dinner, in church, and according to this, immediately after sex. What is the number here? That 1 in 5 people reach for their iPhone as a 21st replacement for the post-coital cigarette. Look, if your iPhone's more important than your partner, your friends out at a restaurant, or whoever you look to up there, that's on you. Are you really trying to tell us that Apple is making you do this? That they're brainwashing you into using your phone in church? Or does that speak volumes of the caliber and quality of this device? The point that people are getting connected and finding so much utilization and so many use cases for this that quite simply it does everything and they can't live without it. At the end of the day, whose responsibility is it to not use the phone at dinner, in church, or in bed? You or Apple's? Does Apple even condone it, promote it? Do they advertise these use cases? No. You've come up with these all on your own. And if you've got a problem with the way this is happening, then don't do it. Or talk to your partner about it. Whether it's your partner in bed, church, dinner, anywhere. Talk to them about it and have them stop. I'm pretty sure it's not an addiction the way cigarettes are. So, again, I have a hard time blaming Apple for making a product so good people have to use it at every given moment. Isn't that the idea? If it was so shitty that we never used it, wouldn't you be complaining that the device was worthless? Let's see what's next. You may spend more with our devices. And what they're talking about here is the monthly amount that the average iPhone owner, and I quote, for example, spends over 10% more on their monthly bills than other prepaid smartphone users. $90 versus $81, according to estimates by Morningstar analyst Michael Hodel. So are you really comparing a contract-based phone to a prepaid phone to make your fucking point? Is that what's happening here? How about iPhone owners in contract versus flip phone owners in contract? Well, of course, it does more. It's going to cost you more. How about iPhone owners versus other manufacturers' smartphone owners, all in contract? Let's compare, pardon the pun, apples to apples. Prepaid is cheaper. That's the whole point. People who don't want to commit, don't want the bells and whistles. Yeah, there's smartphones, but it's not the same thing. It's a different platform. Doesn't make any sense. Apple iPhones in contract, it's its own thing. You can't compare it to something else, especially a lower tier product in a lower tier pricing structure, and wonder why it doesn't cost as little as the lower tier thing. Are you kidding? We need another game-changing gadget. What do you want? You want the iPhone to be brand spanking new every year, totally redesigned, redeveloped, and super awesome. But you complain about this fatigue. What do they call it? Upgrade fatigue? 2007 was the iPhone, and they said this is going to change everything. And it did, because obviously every other manufacturer copied this. And then 08 was the 3G. Game changer from the first one. The other one did 2G Edge network. This did 3G network. Data was faster. Form factor was redesigned. Big deal. Then 09 came the 3GS. Guts. Not a big change. Faster, better battery life. Stuff like that. Things to keep everybody from buying it all the time. That's that one. 10 was the 4. Again, super big change. Form factor was different. Retina display graphics, better battery life, again, just super different experience because the front and rear facing cameras changed the game again. Then the 4S, more guts, more speed and ability internally, But again, not major changes. That way not everybody had to run out and grab it immediately. The new one, if it comes out this year, like we're presuming it will, more than likely, will be new form factor, redesign, beautiful, and knock our socks off again. So you don't want upgrade fatigue and buy something new every year, but you want a game-changing thing every time it comes out. So what you're basically saying is you want a new phone every 2 years, and it's got to be completely revamped every single time. Don't forget, in between this whole thing came the iPad, which is, in fact, a game-changing device, to the point that everybody copied that one too. So you want to rest on these shoulders of giants and make them do all these crazy things here that are game-changing and change the way you do business, and your life is amazing all the time, but you don't want it to happen too often. And we're being a little fickle. Okay, the iPhone's overpriced. Look, if you're looking to scrimp and save, you just don't buy an iPhone. I'm not going to walk into a Mercedes dealership and go, I love your cars, they do everything I want them to do, they're beautiful, they're fast, they got everything in the world, but they're overpriced. Look, that's the way it goes. You know, no ladies walking into, Louis Vuitton saying that these purses are overpriced. Like, they are what they are. When you go to the top, you pay the top-end prices. Whether it's clothes, cars, technology, whatever. That's just the way it is. And realistically, overpriced with subsidization, it's $199. And if you've got upgrade fatigue where you're not buying every single year, you're safe. Because you buy every 2 years, when it's the game-changing device, like we said in the last one, and you get the upgrade pricing, so you can buy in for $199. All three of your complaints are all solved in one shot. You want to buy every year? Again, you pay the price from the latest and greatest. Here's what I do. I keep a second line. If the iPhone's $600 off the shelf, and it's $300 subsidized, I pay $9 a month for a second line that I just don't use. Every single year, I'm eligible for an upgrade. I pay $10 a month over the course of the year, it's $120, take $300 off the price, I'm still $180 extra in my pocket, and I don't have that one big nut to crack every year. So there's ways to get around this if you just use your head. Don't be fooled by our soft sell. Somebody walked in and the concierge at the Apple store walked in and started talking to this dude's kids about all the Disney movies available on the iPad, got the kids hooked, got the dad hooked on it. Look, man, this is parenting again, alright? Tell the kid no. Bottom line, you walk into an Apple store, what did you think was going to happen? Welcome to the Apple store. By the way, this does nothing cool. Don't buy our shit. Why? We prefer to go out of business. Nobody's going to do that, right? So the guy sold it. He sold to the kids. He played to the kids. Go without the goddamn kids. Or just make a decision to not buy them everything they ask for. I mean, this is what they do. They're marketing it. They've always been known for their visionary marketing. When their products weren't worth their weight in gold, they weren't worth their weight in anything. Their marketing is what kept them afloat for a long time. That and a loan from Microsoft. But that aside, marketing has always been their big thing. Our features are falling behind. Some woman gave up her iPhone and said, because I seriously can't read anything on that phone. She has plenty of other options to choose from. The Droid Razr Max, both, has a 4.3-inch display. The Samsung Galaxy S2 is a 4.8-inch display. 3.5-inch screens just won't cut it anymore. That's what people are complaining about. Like, just a couple of years ago, we had a screen the size of 2 nickels, and it was black and white. And then went to color, then they got bigger, and now we've got this. You want a bigger phone. But here's what you complain about every time a new iPhone comes out. You complain about a couple of things. Even though the screen's nicer and it's faster and it does more things, the battery's not as good. You want to make a bigger phone with a bigger screen, more pixels to light up, more brightness behind it. What do you think is going to be the trade-off? Battery life. You're not happy with the battery life of anything you have near. I got a friend, this guy's got an HTC, well not anymore, now he's got an iPhone. He had an HTC Evo. We'd both show up to go watch a football game with 100%. I'd be walking out, tweeting about how awesome the game was, and he'd be going out wishing he could tweet, but his phone was dead. He'd use, come on. There are trade-offs to this. You want a big screen? Go buy a big screen phone. That's not their bag. It's not what they do. It's not what they're into. It's not where their interest is. Small, agile, sexy, fits in your pocket. That's their thing. Again, let's use that car reference. I'm going to go march my ass into Mercedes and ask them, why don't you guys make a pickup truck? Because we just don't fucking make one. That's not what we do. 3.5 inches is the size of the iPhone. That's it. Comes with the territory, kids. Here's the one I agree with. We'll hook you for life. And the Apple ecosystem is dangerous. I'm not going to lie here. You buy an iPhone like I did, you start downloading apps and apps and apps, and I get an iPad, and a lot of them carry over. All of them do to some degree, some of them natively, and it's amazing. You do it. If I started to hate this thing, what am I going to do? Buy an Android phone? Buy a Windows phone? And now I've got to repurchase all of my apps? Microsoft gave away Windows Phone 8 test devices to people, and a lot of them said they loved it. It was smooth, it was good, it was fast, it did everything it was supposed to do. They said, I'd love this thing, I would. And you can subsidize it, hell, you can make it free. But I'm sorry, I can't repurchase the $500 worth of apps I've been getting since 2008. Now, is that Microsoft's fault for being late to the party? Maybe a little bit. You know, let's face facts, Windows started with Windows CE, 10 years ago or more. You know, and they're only now getting into the spot where people actually want their stuff. But we can't blame them. Apple does trap you in this. I agree with it. You know, and it sucks. I happen to be happy with my Apple devices, so I don't really have an issue. But for people that don't, I got a friend. He's been saying he wants the bigger screen. He's got real big mitts, this guy. And he wants a bigger screen, and he's willing to make the jump for it. That's important to him. I said, but buddy, Matt, you're going to lose battery life. He goes, I know, it's worth it. Big screen. So, okay, cool. What about your apps? He goes, I know, I'm stuck. I give him that. I mean, that's it. You've invested into an ecosystem, and we're trapped. And then here's the last one. Our fans don't care if we screw up. Now, there are some Apple fanboys out there where they say Apple can just do no wrong. You know, when the first iPhone came out, it didn't do a whole lot. There were no apps. You had, like, the native things on your home screen, and that was all it did. And then everybody complains, yeah, it's cool, but it doesn't do anything beyond this. And all the fanboys said, so? It's not supposed to. And then there was the antenna thing, and it bothered some people. Again, I didn't have that issue, but some people did. And for those people, they defended it. And they said, no, it's fine. You know, maybe I was just in a good area. Maybe I didn't hold my phone the wrong way. I don't know. People do complain. Obviously. Matter of fact, just earlier in your article, you talked about the lady that left because of the size screen. So, our fans don't care if we screw up. According to her, that was a screw up. She complained, and she left. My buddy wanted to leave. People do care if you screw up. Like, I've made complaints. I wanted to see something much cooler. I really did, out of the 4S in terms of form factor. I bitched when I didn't get it. There is certain times when the new car smell has worn off from me with Apple. But you know what? They bring it back. At the end of the day, the iPhone accounts for more than 50% of Apple's sales. They're doing something right here. This is just a slam piece. That's really all it is. I expect better out of the Wall Street Journal. I really expect more out of these analysts, you know? Maybe it's just the impending release of the iPhone 5 or 6 or whatever the hell we're going to call it whenever it shows up. Don't know. But obviously you can see I went through 10 things here. One of them I agreed with wholeheartedly. The rest didn't make any sense to me. And there you have it. So you can agree, you can disagree, but I'm telling you right now, numbers don't lie. These fucking things are selling. So, sell like hotcakes. The new phrase is going to be, if it sells fast, we're going to say that sells like an iPhone. They can't keep them on the shelves. That's an exaggeration. But they're selling fast, nonstop. Oh, what do you think? Agree? Disagree? Wall Street Journal, come on now. Be responsible. You normally are. I expect better. There you have it. I'll talk to you soon.